'cause I wanna get under your skin.
Do they have a filter that makes you look like Brad Pitt? I'm Mikael.
Most famous rock star, Danish Consul General of all times.
It's not going to be about Shanghai. It's going to be about the Shanghai Ren. Never dreamed about being a diplomat.
Music and diplomacy.
To like a country is to understand what it's about. Then I would read sometimes that most people knew that Lego is actually Danish. I've started learning 9 languages. What do you say? Oh my God. And then remember that all of us have those bumps because things change much quicker than we think.
So here we are with Mikael Winther, Consul General from Denmark in Shanghai. The very first time I saw you, it was during a somewhat cold, very official event when I saw this person on stage rocking his guitar. What was the initial idea of creating this song? Do you feel like it was an inspiration or you felt like Shanghai needed a soundtrack?
I think Shanghai needed a soundtrack, and my initial plan was to write a song about the Shanghai as a city because it's such a iconic place. It has famous buildings and history. But then I realized that it's not really the city that fascinates me, it's the people in the city. So I thought it's not going to be about Shanghai, it's going to be about the Shanghai Ren. And I also like that title because I know that there's a historic magazine that was called Shanghai Ren, where it's written in English. It's the people that makes you memories and impact on you.
But do you remember when you arrived to Shanghai as the official Consul General of Denmark, first impression or like that anything surprised you?
I was surprised that a city of this size could have so many pockets of neighborhood. That because that is the frustration. Usually, if you are in a mega huge city, you kind of feel drowned out or crowded out, or you feel very overwhelmed by the sheer size. Here, it has a really, really feel of neighborhood where you greet each other, and there's a grocery store, corner shop, and you walk around. It's a very walkable city, which is so nice for me, for my feelings to connect.
Can you recall what you wanted to become when you were 10?
When I was 10, we lived in a new development where they built houses. And I was fascinated with the bricklayers and those who worked on the construction sites for these family houses that were built back in the 60s in Denmark, outside Copenhagen. So I wanted to be somebody who worked in construction, basically a construction worker, a bricklayer. Never dreamed about being a diplomat, even after graduation. That was never in my mind. No.
Music and diplomacy. Anyhow, being a musician or playing in a band taught you skills about being a good diplomat?
I think so. It was not something I developed parallel because I thought it would match each other, because one thing has always been my hobby and my basic half-life in music and playing. And diplomat has always been a job. And I've been happy and lucky that it's a very interesting job. I think 15 or 20 years ago, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Denmark developed some of those values that we wanted to promote within our organization, that people should adapt to or take on, something we represented. And that was first time I encountered one of the values was musicality.
Oh.
And that, of course, made people at that time, it was not known so much to be something that you had as the term musicality, of course, meant that you were able to tune in and be part of a team. It didn't mean that you had to be playing the violin or piano or guitar, but of course people were joking and said, "Oh, does that now mean that to be sent out as a diplomat you have to learn an instrument?" And they were laughing at me because I seemed to be already having that. But I realized there that I think as a person, when you play, especially when you play with others, you simply develop a listening ability, because your band, you are not respected or liked in the band. You get kicked out if you don't listen to others, if you think it's just about you. And then, of course, as a diplomat, you also have to many times do speeches and be a performer, basically. You know how a speaker can read up very uncharismatic and make it very dry and empty the room for energy. Or you can do it different. You can have a speaker that can really make you listen to the words. I've tried to learn during my life. I've started learning 9 languages.
How many of them you finished learning actually?
Yeah, I think I got to the conversation level on French, German, English, and Danish are the kind of way I can speak and communicate and read. Thai, I'm quite good at kind of just conversation, and I can read it, but I can't work on it. Chinese, I still love. I feel I got quite far, but of course not at all something that can impress anybody. Vietnamese, I'm okay. Bangla, I gave up. Arabic, I learned for 6 months intensively, but I never had a chance to practice, so it was almost wasted. But that exposure has also meant that I can see Chinese is extremely complicated. I mean, you don't have to ask me about that. Everybody knows that. It's scientifically proven.
Economical diplomacy is one of the most talked about because it brings numbers and it shows results. Sometimes that culture diplomacy is a little bit secondary and more decorative. So do you think people are actually underestimating the culture power?
Yeah, I don't know if it's underestimated. In most diplomats I know are both subconsciously and directly using cultural diplomacy, or what I would have called broader term, the soft diplomacy. Soft diplomacy is actually, when you think of it, maybe the most important tool in all diplomatic work. Because if you look at the world with the digital connection, emails, video conferences, all the apps you can use where you can communicate in other ways than meeting people, you can see one thing has still stayed, and that is the sending diplomats physically to other countries to live there. That almost sounds like a vintage, expensive solution that is not necessary.
True.
But I think that because the human contact cannot be replaced. It doesn't matter how good the technology develops. It cannot be replaced. And that is that human contact, that you're sitting with a person physically, reading each other's mimic, listen to the tone of voice, maybe struggling with some language, is a very strong, effective toolbox in the diplomacy, and it has not been replaced. It's not even been reduced, maybe even increased. So I think that means that the soft diplomacy, and therefore human contact, it may not be cultural diplomacy, but it's that soft side of diplomacy, physical contact. Cultural diplomacy is used by many countries that has resources. To like a country is to understand what it's about. So if you like France, you think about food, wine, good living, historical sites, incredibly deep-rooted culture. The same with China. And those countries use it very, very much. So it's not they spend a lot of money and time on exchanges of it. So I don't think it's been I know that economic diplomacy seems to be first priority because you want to create economic development for your own country. To look after your own interests is basically about economic development in the end.
So it goes side by side.
But it goes
actually.
side by side, yeah. Because you can't, if you want to have good relations with a country, you have to have these people like your country.
Right.
And how do you like it if it doesn't have anything to offer?
Denmark gave the world many nice inventions and things, and of course the obvious ones. We have open-faced rye bread, smørbrød.
Smørbrød, oh
Did I
my
say
god.
it?
You have that in Armenia too?
Thanks to Lego, a lot of millions of kids, they learn the power of imagination. Adults learn the power of stepping on a plastic pane.
With no shoes on at home in your apartment.
Yeah, it's really painful, by the way.
I agree. I did that as a kid too.
But those are the cliches that everybody knows about Denmark. Any culture aspect of Denmark you wish more people knew about?
I think people may not even know how small our country is. That's something I emphasize. So that means that there's a limit to how much impact we can have because of that smallness. Then I would wish sometimes that most people knew that Lego is actually Danish, because many people in the world think it's American or English because it's so big and successful.
Actually true. The impact it
So the
makes for a
impact is
small
big, so
country.
yeah.
I see.
Yeah, maybe I would hope that people could find out that Denmark is not only cold weather. We are not that cold compared to even Shanghai. Or people always say Denmark is very cold.
Cold place, yeah.
You know, but we are very dark and rainy.
If your life was summed up in some song, what would that be?
So I like songwriters like Ray Davies from the Kings, Elvis Costello, a little bit newer bands that are still not for young people, the National, where the singer there is really, really working with the lyrics and has a lot of layers.
Or like poetry, music poetry.
Yeah, more exactly, where it's basically poetry.
Yes.
So that is something that influences me a lot as a person. And I can sit and just listen and then be in it. I've been all my life.
Some music are there just to be a background, but some are just meant for you that you feel it's good to be alive.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just good to be alive. That something like that is there, has been done, and somebody did it to us.
Yes.
That's why I feel very sad when musicians. I'm a huge fan of Tom Petty, American man. Also again lyrics and music, and then and when he died, it was. Of course, I don't know the guy, but the fact that he would not write more to me to enjoy was it stopped.
Yes.
So that was the sorrow I had.
So
I can't feel sorrow for a person that I but that thing that now he's not gonna make that.
Who's gonna do that?
Who's gonna do that now?
Sometimes I'm thinking what's happening in those brains, that they can create something that makes other people appreciate life.
I really, really also feel that. So I want them to go on.
Yeah, right?
And be loved.
Be loved and continue creating.
Yeah.
That's true. If you had to gift one mindset or values from China to the world, what would that be?
Curiosity. Keep on curiosity. Curiosity also means openness. If we lose the curiosity, and curiosity can be lost because we think we already know and there's no need to be open-minded because we already have our own opinion. That is something I think people, both as individuals and as countries, should maintain. A curiosity that something could be different than you thought. That get rid of biases that we all have, including me. So curiosity is also something I say to people that come and work with me. Please keep that up. Even if you think you get to know a lot of things and you become smart and knowledgeable. If you lose that, you will also not be a very interesting partner for anybody who wants to talk to you. Because then you will talk instead of listen.
I also feel it in living in China, the curiosity is really, especially even with classical music too. It's, even though we have like long history, but our concert halls are full of different ranges of people.
Yes.
And they are not only people who like classical music, there are people who are also curious.
Yes.
And maybe it's their first and last time attending a classical music concert, but at least they are curious to give it a try. I think this is something very different from what's happening in the world. If you had to introduce yourself without a name, where you are coming from or your profession, how would you describe yourself?
I actually do that a lot because after I first time became ambassador, I realized that is a real conversation killer. That both kills the spirit for the other person. If I introduce, I'm the ambassador of Denmark. I know we go nowhere. Then
They'll be like, okay.
So okay, sorry I asked, or okay, I know that you don't have. So I lost a lot of, when I didn't know or was not aware of that, I stopped using that at all. And I don't do it to be like falsely modest or something. I really do it because I can continue a conversation with a person where I have the right to ask and we have a level playing field. So I actually just, usually I always say, I'm Mikael, I'm from Denmark. That's my intro. I'm from Denmark. I don't say what I do. I'm Mikael, I'm from Denmark. What do you say?
I didn't say anything about myself. I just greeted you. Usually I'm like, hello.
And that is also a really, really good strategy. Because then you get all the information. And you don't have to, because that is basically, as I talked to, coming back to what I said about if you're curious and listen instead of, and I'm not always good at it. Because sometimes I get also a little full of myself, like many men do. mansplaining.
Mansplaining, yeah. If somebody's watching this young, by saying young, again, I mean from 0 to 100 years old, if they are going through some difficulties or they are just unsure about their future, what do you want them to remember?
Something that people also have told me is that when you feel down and out and things are not going in certain areas where you either failing or you're disappointed or it looks bleak, hold on to actually those areas of your person experience or your experience with your friends is not bleak. Keep, positive, because there are areas where it goes well. It could be your physical health could be good. And then remember that all of us have those bumps. No people, although they look successful in many areas or it looks like it always goes well for them, they have the same things. And most of the time we get over it because things changes much quicker than we think. So there's no reason to be completely bogged down.
That's a very wonderful message. Except the fact that Shanghai has had the most famous rock star Danish Consul General of all times. What else you hope Chinese people will remember when it comes to Denmark?
I hope they will see Denmark as a country of integrity with good intentions. We may make mistakes both in our own country towards our own people and individually may also make the same mistakes as all individuals do. But this, I always say, if I hope that people will see through me, if they look at me as at least one of the Danish representatives. I'm not everything, but I am exposed to it. I hope they will think about me within that. Oh, that's a person you can trust, a person who has good intentions, who is a typical Danish, somebody that we say, okay, if Danish is like that, if Danish people are like that, or if Denmark is like he talks about it, then we want to go. And then we want to learn more, we want to know the Danes, because they seem to be good people. And people need to feel, when they're around me, they should like me, because then they also will like my country. They will like my colleagues, and they will like Denmark, and then they will want to exchange with me. And then my job is already half done.
Yeah, I think you're perfectly doing that.
That is deeply what I hope I can do.
I wish each country can have such a representative that just by only talking, you're just like, I need to book a ticket tomorrow to Denmark, kind of Consul General. Thank you so much for your
That's
time.
a deep compliment. Thank you so much. Really a pleasure talking to you.
I take my bite that I like, it can get me very far. Oh, I go speedy, grab it, beady, they are Shanghai's real stars. I've been taken, almost shaken, I've been Shanghai by this place. Shanghai then took me in, now this crowd has got a face. I wanna get under your skin. Shanghai then you took me in, with the spirit like rock and roll. Shanghai then show me your soul.